Welcome back, everybody. I was planning a slightly different type of video than this. After the 80 boxes we opened on stream, was going to use our own stats to make a stat video. Since we recorded, MinMax have opened a lot more boxes. They opened 500 boxes and they put up their stats, and I think that's a more accurate representation of what to expect in this set. So I'm going to link that article below. Going to also link the FABTCG Collector Center article based on or showing the outsiders hit rates. I'm going to go through them in this video, but I'm going to do this at a very like overhead level, not super detailed, because I think you can go and do some more stats yourself. I've also recommended a couple of other content creators maybe make that style of video. Not that it'll be better received. I just think the data is now public, and I don't need to make a video. Plenty of people will. Basically, we've had some major changes from Uprising and Dynasty. So Uprising was the first Fab 2.0 set, the first set with Marvel. So this Uprising is probably the closest set to compare. And the main thing, or the biggest differences here, are the Rainbow Foil Legendaries now 1 in 70 packs instead of 1 in 80. I won't get into the percentages because I'm terrible at maths, as regular viewers of this channel should know. I could use a calculator, but that's the major difference, and you can do the maths yourself. 1 in 70 to 1 in 80. So basically, the Rainbow Foil Fable is easier to hit in... Did I do that correctly? I did not. It is easier to hit now than it has been in the past. The downside, or the other side of that coin, is the Cold Foil Fable is now 1 in 267 packs. 1 in 264 packs instead of 1 in 220. So it's significantly rarer to hit the Cold Foil. I do have a data point to share. The one we hit on stream sold for 1,200 Australian dollars, graded 9.5 just today. Obviously, there's FOMO, and I don't know if that price has any relevance on the future price of that card, but it did sell for that, and the Rainbow Foil one sold for 400 Australian dollars. It was graded 9. So the reason these are relevant are, once you see the stats that are public, that LSS have published, I think you're going to find that Rainbow Foil Legendaries might be slightly cheaper than maybe people expected. Cold Foil ones are going to be more expensive than some people expected. And most importantly, which we figured out the hard way, the extended arts seem to be, which are not listed in this. They don't tell you how often you'll hit an extended art Rainbow Foil, extended art Cold Foil Legendary. We're expecting, since the Cold Foil itself is much rarer than normal, then the extended art Cold Foil will also be significantly rarer than people think. Again, MinMax put their stats up of what they opened from 500 boxes, so you can go check that out. And I think that's an accurate representation. I also believe Hemel from FABTCG, the Bazaar, will post his stats also, and they'll give us a very good idea. Now, the biggest, I think, so Legendaries and Fabled are like, for the average casual player, maybe if you're picking up packs, like price packs at an armory or whatever, and you want to know what your chances are, I think it's sort of irrelevant, because it's great to hit those, but that's not your expectation. The real EV in these sets is usually in the Majestics. The Majestics is a big difference. I'm not going to give you a percentage again, but it's gone from 1 in 4 packs in Uprising to 1 in 5. That's a significant change. And it's going to be very relevant to the EV of this set. I own a single store. The pricing I put Majestics up at is probably too low. We've sold a lot. We've adjusted some of the pricing, especially the Cold Foil weapons. We've nearly doubled the price on those. They keep selling quicker than we can post them. But it's worth noting. It's worth knowing this information if you're a player, collector, store that's going to open. And again, this is just the public data. It's not me talking about just what we opened. They're the 3 numbers that are really relevant. The Rainbow Foil Legendaries are now easier to hit than Uprising. which I felt was already quite easy to hit. The cold foil legendaries are less common, and I would expect, based on the MinMax stats again, and our own, that the cold foil Fable is also rarer than it was in Uprising, but the Rainbow Foil one seems to be a little bit more common. That we cannot verify. I'm speculating. That's just my impression of opening the set and my impression after reading the 500 boxes or 125 cases opened by MinMax. I think this is interesting. I wanted to digest it a bit because I wasn't terribly impressed opening the 80 boxes. But of course, the problem with expectation is when something changes, which most of us don't like change, it's hard to adjust. I remember when Uprising came out, Fab 2.0, there was a lot of mixed emotions about how that set felt to open. But in hindsight, that Buzzsaw Trap Rainbow Foil, this is going to be a very rare card since the legendary text is on it. Yeah, when Fab 2.0 came out, I remember people expecting things to die in price, etc. But I think Uprising did a really good job. I don't know if these new stats are... I don't know if they are here to stay, if it's a permanent tweak for Fab 2.0, or if it's just for this set. Another Rainbow Foil Majestic. So this shouldn't be happening, rarity-wise. 2 Rainbow Foil Majestics in one box is not common. Now, I said Fab 2.0 to the uninitiated or new here, welcome. I'll explain what that means. Flesh and Blood used to have a first edition printing and a first edition and an unlimited printing. First edition would have cold foils and the possibility of Marvels back then or different treatment cards. Like an example of an early day Marvel would be Twinning Blade extended art in the first edition Crucible boxes, or the Galaxy Black in Monarch. First edition, if you hit a cold foil Galaxy Black, it was alternate art. It wasn't similar to the normal art. Fab 2.0 got rid of the first edition and replaced it with just one set for everyone that contained both the high-end collector items like cold foils, but also the play pieces. Overall, I think it was a great decision for LSS to do. They also tweaked that the cold foils would only be in non-playable slots for limited. So in draft, you would see a cold foil, you could keep it and actually draft the pack properly because it's in the token slot and is not legal to play your cold foil in draft in a competitive scene in Flesh and Blood. So that's Fab 2.0. In a nutshell, there's a lot more changes. You can find that article on the Flesh and Blood website as well. So we didn't hit a cold foil in this box. I'm thinking of opening a case here, by the way. I've got the boxes out, so let's see. But yeah, that's Fab 2.0, if you didn't know. And again, this seems like... So I think Uprising and Dynasty. Dynasty was a little bit odd to open, but it's a expansion set or a supplementary set, so it sort of plays different anyway. The collation is always going to be different to a draft set. And I think they've gone with Outsiders and tweaked. My predictions, and again, I'm going to let other content creators that delve into the market speculation stuff do their job more. I even asked, I told We Make Best, I think their style of editing is kind of cool for this statistical kind of analysis because it'll be short and snappy and funny, but informative at the same time. Basically, I did the maths. I think you used to get 32 Majestics a case of 4 boxes, and the expectation now is to get 19 or 19.5, which obviously you can't get half a Majestic, so it's 19. I believe... Okay, let me tell you the pros and cons. The cons are, it's going to take way more to build playsets as a store. We might have to just pull down our playset listing because I don't think it's feasible anymore to build those. The pro is it's less likely for Outsiders to have 50-cent Majestics. The harder something is to hit, usually the floor of that card, the cheapest, the lowest the price can get, it will hold a bit better because you literally won't see that many. So that's the good news about having less Majestics. I think it also might make for a better limited experience, since this is going to be a competitively draft set. Limiting the amount of Majestics will usually make that experience better, because Majestics tend to be quite overrated. And I'll tell you now, when I was hitting Majestics in my limited pool, the deck was a lot better, especially a few of the attack reactions that are just extremely debilitating. But that used to happen as well in certain sets. I think like Tales of Aria, if you hit a Voltaire or a Winter's Whale, the Majestic weapons are just crazy good in draft. And it was hard to beat. Ooh, look at that, Rainbow Foil. So these are way more expensive than I expected them to become, these Codex Rainbow Foils. But yeah, I think it's going to have a positive and negative effect. Negative is places going to be super hard to get. People that want to collect one of every card will, especially if they're people that want to open product. I don't have the number, although I can do the number of how many boxes you'll need. But, I mean, there's an easy... they opened 500 boxes and got 25 Majestic playsets. This is talking about MinMax again. So you need to open... I can't do those maths in my head, but divide 500 boxes by 25, and there's your number. You need, what, 20 boxes to get a playset? Is that right? I think so. Which is a lot, by the way. And obviously, if you just open 20 boxes, you're very unlikely to have the playset. You're going to need to trade a lot to get to a playset of all the cards. Either way, that's just facts. There's no point. Whether you're happy or not with them, it's just reality now. That's what this set looks like. There doesn't seem to be a difference between Belgium and Japanese. The only rumored difference, which I'm yet to sort of believe, is it's rumored that the Belgian print seems to see more extended art legendaries. The reason it's super hard to prove is another codex is we don't know. We haven't got that amount of data. It's just anecdotal. Even with 500 boxes, it's anecdotal because, I mean, I've only opened 80 boxes Japanese plus these, and we didn't hit one. That's correct. But we were above rate for hitting the cold foil Fable. So let's just wait and see. In my 80 boxes, or the store's 80 boxes, we only hit one. Oh, here we go. Cold foil pack finally. Let's see. It's not the best. Common cold foil. Knives out. Oops, it's in the wrong pile. Is this rainbow foil? No. Yes, okay. I see where I've messed up. Razor's Edge Blue is the rainbow. This is our cold foil. All in all, everything is speculation. It'll take some time to figure out pricing, but it's now impossible to price things against Uprising. Both for businesses and players, you can't just look at how Uprising performed and try and guess. There's plenty of opinions online, and I understand where they're coming from, saying players should wait and not buy this week. But again, we listed some stuff. We listed cold foil assassin weapons for 49 Australian. That was an insanely good buy, which is gone now. They're nearly double now in price, and the set's not even out. So I think you could have done well buying those. I think the rainbow foil Fable that we sold for 400 Australian dollars was also underpriced. So I'm just saying, I think still use your wits, but there's basically a lot less high-end hits in this set and a lot more low-end hits in this set, and it's worth knowing that when you're out purchasing. So I don't want to actually tell you what I think the numbers will be, and the reason for that is the numbers are actually just going to be on my shop, which you could clearly check out and see what my opinion is of what a shop should be selling the cards for. It's not just my opinion either. It's me and Dev. He actually figures out most of the pricing. Shout out to him. So it's a matter of, I mean, we were probably one of the first to put pricing up at all, and some of them we got right, some we didn't. We just don't really care if we don't capitalize on every cent on release. It wasn't the point of starting this business. We will make a profit regardless. It's just a matter of getting cards out to players. All our international orders will ship in the next couple of days, and then our Australian orders should ship on Thursday, which should arrive to you guys on the Friday. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see what's going to give. I'm not a big data kind of person. I think TCG Player and Card Market and Card Kingdom, etc., those bigger companies will have actual analytics or analysts working on this stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what effect changing the Majestic hit rate has on the secondary market. How it affects the amount of stores that will box break for singles. I think that's a big thing. Is this could mean it's really inefficient to open boxes for profit. It could mean the other way around. It could mean this is an incredibly good set to open for profit. I believe the rares in this set have quite a good play power level, I guess you could call it. Very playable rares, especially Rainbow 4 Fable. Look at that. So I was worried we hadn't hit cold foils. This is box 3, but there's a Plague Hive right there. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see what happens. Very curious to see. I'm excited. I wasn't too happy about the initial opening experience. I think you wouldn't be, because if you've opened a lot of Uprising... where did we go? I missed a rare. That's fine. If you've opened a lot of Uprising, this set feels a little bit odd to open. And Japanese print feels clumped up. But I don't know if Belgian print is the same, and clumped up can sometimes be amazing. If you go back and watch my Welcome to Wraith 10-case box break stream, I did a short about it. We hit way more E-strikes than any other Majestic, and it was constantly red Flusterfist followed by an E-strike over and over again. You can't complain, you know? But then, in the same sense, we opened History Pack, White Border, which is also Japanese print, and we hit 12 Scabskin Leathers and no Storm Striders. So you have it's the feast or famine thing. I think I would still prefer a little bit more randomness in my pack openings, especially when I buy... We've got another cold foil here. Nothing great. Still rather see more variance, more randomness. You know, opening 10 cases, 15, 20 cases in a row and constantly seeing the same cards and none of another for a store is not great. In the long run, it won't matter because we'll also be buying cards and, you know, it doesn't matter in the long run. In the short term, it just feels bad. But not everything has to feel good. The set plays incredibly well. I'm excited. Azuri is very, very interesting in CC. I might try her, but I think maybe in Baltimore, I'll just stick to Dorinthia. I think Dorinthia... I'm going to be very happy playing Dorinthia if a lot of people are switching to Azalea and Azuri and Riptide. Riptide will be a problem with that defense reaction. Well, defense reactions in general suck for Dory, but it'll be interesting to play my deck with thousands of reps on it against people that are new to their deck. My chances of winning are higher, usually purely on experience base. Purely because I'm a little bit more comfortable with my lines. I haven't lost many games. Again, Talashar's sort of irrelevant. I haven't lost many games to those decks on Talashar because people are still experimenting, still trying to figure them out. And I have a feeling Baltimore, that'll still be the case. But before Baltimore, the skirmish season, might even sleeve up Arachne, Solitary Confinement. I think you can really high roll people with that deck. It's very disruptive. Cool thing about Amnesia came out today. Although what it does versus Dromai is not the best, but the Ash Dromai has, it removes Phantasm. When Amnesia hits, because the card has no name, the dragon will have Phantasm. Excuse me. It's kind of like it's very little niche interaction because, first of all, how many people play Dromai? And second, Dromai players, how many of them play those weird and wonderful Ash that came out in Dynasty, you know? Is that the second Orbiter classed? It is. Good to see. But yeah, our sub count is going nutso. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed recently. We're nearly at 3,500. Twitter's at 1,800. Might do something big over there when we hit 2,000. So you can find links below to my other socials. I'm mainly active on Twitter. I do have a Facebook. It's very rarely active, but I'll usually post video links and stuff. On the rare occasion, I will do a unique giveaway on Facebook. So if you have a Facebook account, it doesn't hurt to follow that. I'm working on a sponsorship that's hopefully, if that goes through, we'll get that phone call's in a couple of hours, actually, a company in Germany. Hopefully we'll get me access to a lot more giveaway product. Some very cool stuff, but it's always a work in progress. Also, comment below if you do have an idea for the channel, for sponsorship, a brand or a contact you might have. It's tricky being in Australia. I've tried to work with some American brands because the viewership is heavily American, but having the single store is a little bit of a barrier to deal with some of the more well-known brands in Flesh and Blood. But overall, the channel's at that. Wow, here we go. Rainbow Foil, Redback Shroud. This case so far is quite good. I'm happy. No big cold foil hit, not even a Majestic yet, but so in our boxes we did not hit many infiltrates. That's one thing we noticed. I was going to do the breakdown of our own boxes, but I might just end up posting the stats as some sort of graph instead of making a whole video about them. Like I said, the MinMax data is, and the stats on the Flesh and Blood website, the actual box stats are much more accurate than my 80 or 79 boxes that I managed to open. I just need to move the comments before they topple. Last box. But again, yes, thanks for all the new subs. Guys, please ask questions below. I'm happy to answer questions. If I'm a little bit short on answers on stream, it's because my attention's diverted to a million other things trying to do the stream. But you can PM me, email me, or just ask in the comments. I do read every comment, believe it or not. Channel's not big enough yet that I don't have the time to do that. So get in there, start some arguments. We can pull one last big hit. So far, this case has been very good. I don't think anyone would complain hitting Shroud and Fable in one case. But I still feel like we're missing one cold foil hit. We didn't even get a cold foil in that first box, which is odd. You know what? That's probably a lie. It's probably sitting in the token pile right now. One of you's commenting. I don't have my lights on because, see, in the daylight, the cards actually look quite good in the low light, but for me, it's quite dark in here. That pack is hard to open. Inertia Trap. I have got a video of the 6 Blitz decks coming out, but the lists are actually up on February. So if you're watching this, I don't know when I'll post each video, but you can jump onto February and actually... Ooh, Rainbow Foil Amplifying. Very cool. You can jump onto February and have a look at those lists. The interesting takeaway there was Riptide doesn't have any blues in the deck, and I wonder if maybe that's something to do with the design of Riptide. I mean, the way Dromai doesn't need a lot of blues to work, nearly strives off having none in the deck. Maybe Riptide's supposed to be played with yellows and reds. The beauty of yellows and reds on Riptide is if you're taking the game into the late game, which I think is the goal, your deck should end up being more powerful. So maybe running a lot of, some of the best, obviously the best defensive reactions in the game are reds, but then there's, is that all you got in yellow, which I think is very, very playable in this meta, because it blocks a dagger or something and replaces itself. I think there's, I like the idea of, that kind of thing will make me more likely to play Riptide, is if you can play it with no blues. It makes it kind of cool. I like decks that it's very predictable pitch color when you draw. I play a red-only Dromai in Blitz, and I love the idea of knowing that every card I draw is going to be a red. It's very cool. Mr. Rare again. There. Alright, we're halfway through the last box, and here's a cold foil. Hoping for a big one. Nope. Not a big one. Not sure if any of these common cold foils will see much play. Maybe the Ninja Mask that changes the name of a card in Blitz. I can see the potential of it seeing play. Anything that can do bursty type damage has a chance to see play as a common. But I don't know about the rest. I'm not much of a deck brewer, so gonna need bigger brains than mine to figure that out, and But I don't think there's any cards in this set that Dorinthia will play, which is my main deck. I think Down and Dirty I would play if there was more Dromai in the field than there is now, or if Prism in July becomes a threat again, then it makes a lot of sense to have a Popper and Arsenal on Warrior. Aside from that specific card, I don't think anything from this set goes in, which is completely fine. I think it's good to have a set where I don't need to buy anything and just wait for... Well, my hope, my prediction, but more my hopeful prediction, is that Dusk Till Dawn is a Warrior Brute set. Obviously, Shadow Runeblade Light Illusionist is what's hinted. The issue there is those decks have LL'd, so their card pools are actually... There's evidence that those card pools are strong, so they may not need to give those decks a huge amount of support. They could just print a new hero that makes use of 90% of the card pool, minus specializations, print a couple of specializations, and you might have some very cool heroes added to the meta. But Warrior Brute have never been strong in the meta, so it would be cool to see legendaries and more Majestics focused on bringing those decks up. Obviously, specifically Bolton probably is underrepresented, even compared to Dory. Levia, for sure. Rhinar, for sure. So that'd be very cool to see. Those decks getting a whole bunch of love. And still getting the re-release of Prism and Chain, which is what people are hoping to see. I don't know if it'll be Prism and Chain. I don't know if it's better to have brand new heroes. The problem with Prism and Chain is then the specializations are usable. And maybe they don't want that. I'm trying to remember Prism specializations. Is it just ALS? I can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm very, very excited to see. This is the very last pack of the case. We haven't hit a cold foil, anything really. We've hit 3 cold foils total, which is underrate, but we hit a Fable and a Legendary. So, all right, nothing else. Overall, happy with that one. I would accept that as a case. Gives you an idea. See, it's nearly exact every time we've opened, hitting the 4 Rainbow Foil Majestics. And 21 exactly. So it's one above or 2 above the expected in a case in 96 packs. So it's slightly above on Majestics. Terrible on cold foils. But anyway, thanks for watching. Again, if you're new, welcome. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And I'll talk to you soon.